Don't get mad at me, it's just my opinion. What is up, guys? This is Godzilla Suplex, and welcome to today's episodes. I'll be giving out my official competitive MK11 tier list. But before I do that, please hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so you get a notification every time I make a video. So guys, let's get into this because this is such an important topic for any competitive MK11 player. And yes, I will be putting down my tier list. For those who do not know what a tier list is, it's how viable a character is in competitive. Now, certain people have different criteria of what's really a good competitive character, but here is my requirements. They have to have good mix-ups that can constantly have the opponent thinking about it and make their back arsenal way more powerful. Then they have to have great combo strings to get the maximum amount of damage once they do catch the enemy off guard and catch them in a situation. And the last thing they have to have is they have to have abilities that reshape the match and at any moment can turn the momentum back to their favor and keep the opponent then guessing about what they're going to do with their 50-50 mix-up and any other moves they have in their arsenal. So based off those three things, I'm going to now divulge into my tiers list. Starting off with at D, we have Jackie Briggs. I know a lot of Jackie Briggs players are going to be like, what, why, and how, but it comes down to the simple fact: in a competitive setting, when you do not have a straight projectile, you are pretty much done, okay? Because every one of the top tier characters are going to zone you out. Then when you do get inside, they're going to have something waiting for you, and you're going to have to take too many unnecessary risks. So that's the first strike against her. Then she has pretty good counters inside, but still, even some other characters beat her out in the low poking startup section, and really it just really compromised the character once you had to keep on pressuring them. I mean, but once she does pressure, she is pretty good, but the requirement to have that level of skill with her is very high. And when you're trying to use her in a competitive setting, even the best of players can get zoned out. And you know, it's going to be very hard for you to use her in a competitive setting, especially against top tier players who know how to zone you out and set you up for their moves once you try to get inside and do what you need to do. So then also at the bottom tier, we also have Devore. Now I know a lot of people say Devore has good mix-ups and she's a fun character to play, but the basic problem with her is, even though her moves are pretty obscure and can catch your enemy off guard, at some point her moves are a little bit too forward. Her competitive set, that is, it's a little bit too straightforward once you know what she's gonna do. A lot of her moves are slow. She doesn't have a lot of good mid startups, you know, except what, maybe one. And once you get in that mid section, she probably has only one option, and that's that overhead slice thing. So once she does the overhead knockdown, you know, I mean, I guess she could back up a little and reset and use her lengthy arms and try and get into control of the match. But a good player will still stay up on her, and let's just say a Raiden could rush her down with his lightning ability, could shoot lightning to knock her down. So there are plenty of options he can do with that range. So Devore is kind of messed up, but she could go for the overhead, and that's her like one claim to fame. And I don't even know if that's even in the competitive gears, but if it is, you know, it's still something, but it's not enough to get her around most opponents in a competitive setting of match. So now we go to the C characters, and these are the characters that they have a little bit of a disadvantage, but they are still good. And some of these are going to be better than others, but the C tier is the tier that really you don't want to go into competitive with, but you can still get away with it if you know them that tight enough. So starting off this list, we have Kodokan, and he is a huge detriment. He's almost in the D category because his stuff moves so slow. If you are somebody who's playing Kodokan, you have to have an expert knowing of your distance. Because if you're dealing with somebody who knows what they're doing, they're gonna know Kodokan's moves are very, very slow, and they're gonna come up there with their fast start moves and just try and wreck you. Now he has a couple of moves that can really, you know, try to turn around the match, but the biggest thing is that the requirement to even have that much timing can sometimes fail even a good player. And then on top of that, we also have to think about, you know, some of the other things you would have to know to even be a viable Kodokan in an online competitive setting. You would have to know about how to risk the totem poles. Like you have to know when to risk it and open the totem poles, open you up for ranged zoning moves. You know, you would have to put on those damage buffs to really strengthen your opportunity of winning, because if you do put on those strength and damage boosts, you know, you can get it in less hits, and when you do get on the flow and on a roll, the opponent will be in real big trouble. But that still leaves you open to somebody countering you and taking that momentum away from you. Then it's gonna be hard to punish with that strong sword swing, and a lot of his stuff are really counterable. So he's really just above D, but the reason why I put him over is that his damage buffs and his other stuff that gets him over the hump, even with his star sword strikes, you know, he can really kind of get away with it because of his strong abilities. So now after Kotal Kahn, we have Cassie Cage. You know, she's kind of at the top of the C list. You know, she has great mix-ups, she has unpredictable moves, and the biggest thing, she has that drop shot. The drop shot really puts her over a lot of characters in the C section, because the drop shot can be done at any moment, can be amplified, can shoot the opponent up in the air, set her up for a combo, and even her fatal blow if she does it correctly. So she is a really unpredictable character. Now some people would say she's better suited in B, but a good player will rank her up to B. But an average player, competitive player, I think it's going to be hard to even set up what she has going if a player is knowing. Now I'm under the assumption that both players know each other, so in that setting where I know what you're going to do, you know what I'm going to do, it's still going to be tough for you to set up, because Cassie K, she has a low combos, but she does not have any good overheads. She has a good anti rush down move with the little bot where he shoots the laser in, but other than that, it's going to be really tough for you to do that. And plus, the fail blow is a little bit predictable in a competitive setting where you're bending down and then you're going to try and come back up. Somebody could just let go and come back up and block, then hit you with their fail blow. So her fail blow comes at such a stark risk, because somebody can just move back up again, but it is still pretty quick for a crushing, I mean not crushing, but a fail blow. So that's why I ranked her so low, because the requirement to get her right is so high, and the margin of error with her is so high. Like just the margin of error here is just so, I said high, but so low that if you mess up, you know, you could be in some real big trouble. The only thing she can really rely on is that low shooting and all those shooting pistols, but other than that, she can kind of be predicted a little bit. But other than Cassie Cage, we do have Frost, and Frost is another high tier character in the C section. You know, she's, well, I wouldn't say high tier, she's right in the middle or a little bit upper with Shao Kahn, but like she's a really good mix up character. She can go up and down, like, man, like her moves are so great. She has a diving move that I just discovered the other day. So she's a really good mix up character, really good rush down. So when she's rushing at you, she can go inside, outside. The only problem with her is that, you know, her moves are so obscure and her controls are a little bit difficult. And I know, you know, you gotta know her moves, but her moves don't always have the most reliability. Like her head thing. You know, you could trap somebody into another move, and even though she could punish you pretty good, it still begs the question, like, in a competitive setting where we know both of what's gonna happen, can you really set that move reliably without that damage? You know, it's just sort of like, Frost can set up, but what happens when, you know, you don't have your setups going, you're not having the momentum, and you can't rush down the opponent? You're kind of screwed then. So it's very important to recognize that and see, okay, the advantage will go to somebody else higher than her. And even though she would have advantage against Cassie Cage or Jackie Briggs, still we have to think they could still rush her down theoretically with some of their moves, and they could stop her and counter her, like with Cassie Cage with her anti-rush down beam. So it really just kind of puts her at a little bit of a disadvantage, but not that much. She is just a little bit under the radar of competitive. So our final character in this tier of C is Shao Kahn. Now I know this will be a little bit of a headache for a lot of players, because Shao Kahn has such a good move set to him. But the thing about Shao Kahn is that he can be taken advantage of on the inside when it comes to his lows and setting up for your highs. Okay, so Shao Kahn has this innate weakness to mid-range or close range fighters that have startups that are faster than him, that can kind of negate his hammer, and his hammer much of the time leaves him open to combos. So when you're dealing with a situation where you had to choose your moves wisely, Shao Kahn may not be the best character to go with, and leaves you at a slight under advantage. Remember, when I say C, this is a slight under advantage in competitive, not a major one. The only two major ones is D. So slightly being C, it doesn't mean they're terrible. It just means that they're slightly underperforming in a competitive setting. So if you do have a Shao Kahn, you can still take advantage of the opponent, but without those good combos, which he has one with the ground slam and comeback up, which is really good. But without that combo, you know, Shao Kahn's relegated to opportunity based offense and defense rather than just being a character that can throw some mix-ups up there and constantly make the opponent think about what he's doing, give him a defensive stance, and then, you know, throw some chip damage blows at him. So really, Shao Kahn, even though he's slightly under the radar, he still almost makes it to the line of good competitive characters. But now let's get to the B section, because the B section and this on up is the official line of good characters that you're gonna come in that are just gonna be, you know, overall good. They don't have any nearly major disadvantages as the one that are coming below, and this is like the official starting line for good competitive play characters. So starting off at the number B section is Johnny Cage. Now a lot of people will say he's a C character, but Johnny Cage is definitely a B character, if not higher, if you know how to use him. He can get beat up at first, but once he finds his momentum, his moves are so hard to predict that much of the time it's hard to punish him, because you don't know if he's going to string into another combo. And a lot of the time he won't string into another combo, fooling you. He'll do it the first time, and the second time he'll stop in the middle, then grab you, and then throw you. So it is really hard to kind of predict him, because in itself he is a 50-50 character with his 2 to 3 combo hits. And that makes him a hard character to read once you get in that defensive stance. So I think that's why he outranks his daughter, Kotal Kahn, and the rest of them, because really he can do a lot of things that they can't. And also, I think I missed 2 characters in the C section, and let me just go back over them. Katana, great mix-up character, but her moves can be a little bit predictable once you know them. It's basically block mid with a one high string at the end, so it's a whole bunch of mids for her, even though she is really good with mixing up and just trying to fool you on the down low. But just her lack of overheads, I think, really gives her away, which makes you depend on her abilities. And if you know her abilities, it could be a tough time to try to get her going. Then we have Citrion, because I'm sorry guys, I forgot to mention these two. Citrion is also a character, really a spam character, but a zoning character nonetheless. She could give you trouble if you do not have a teleport or a strong startup. Especially, she would give a character like Jackie Briggs a lot of trouble. But in essence, once you get on the inside and pressure her a lot, it's gonna be major trouble, because she can only has really not 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 different combos, and those both are very unsafe depending on how many strings they have attached to them. So combined with her unsafe combos and no way to really get back to the outside other than a good teleport, but still pretty risky and doesn't really take you out of the way of the danger, especially if somebody has a teleport move, I think she is just below the line of good characters. So now back to the B characters. Next after Johnny Cage, we have Baraka. Baraka, a great character, you know, and he's in the same vein as Shao Kahn, but what puts him at the starting line of competitive characters is that Baraka can combo so many things into one another. Even though he's an opportunity character, he has so many combos, so many ways to make you unblock, to make you do whatever he wants you to do. Once he puts the pressure on you, it's hard to get him off of you. And plus, his projectile moves so fast that it's hard to even zone him out. So once he throws you up in the air, combos all the damage, once all that is done, he's constantly still putting the pressure on you. And even still, it puts you in a desperate situation to try and get out of his grasp. And where Shao Kahn fails with some of his combos is that much of the time Baraka can keep you out of that neutral zone where he is sort of weak at, but still he can just keep you in the pressure, keep on backing you up into the corner, and really mess you up once he gets you there. So I mean, characters that have particularly good teleport can beat this, but most characters don't. So they're gonna have to have a little bit more ingenuity, but that's what makes Baraka such a great pressure character, and where he succeeds where Shao Kahn fails. So now after that, we get to Cabal, the rush down character supreme. Another character that is a little bit more opportunity based, but a little bit more crafty, because Cabal can just throw so many long reaching hooks at you. He has good projectiles. He can constantly mess it up. He does not have to depend on his main move, which is his main threat, the rush down spin. And if he does get it, you're in for some major damage, because he's about to put you down with some 60 to 40% damage combos. He's a real good character after that. He's highly unpredictable, especially at long mid-range, where he can reach the hooks out to you, press you from the bottom, grab you up, and flip you over with that one hit from the number 4 button back forward. So it makes him a highly unpredictable character. Even though some of his players can be one-trick ponyish, with a good Cabal, he'll constantly change the parameters of the match, whether he's going to come in close or whether he's going to stay at mid. It's still, a lot of his moves are safe from their 2-string variants. So other than that, we also have the B string. We also have the man, the myth, the legend, Noob Saibot. And I know a lot of people are going to give me junk for this, because Noob Saibot doesn't have any good inside moves, you know, for his competitive variants. But still, whatever makes up Noob Saibot in that way is the way you can space out, constantly make your moves unpredictable. He has good jumping. He has an anti-air. He can stop jumpers. He can make you stand in front of them and be more predictable. Noob Saibot is a more good setup character than a lot of characters in this game. He can set you up for what he wants to go into you with, constantly threaten with his lows, even though he does not fulfill them. And really, his shadows are what's really the MVPs in this game. He can do so many things. He can rush down. If your thing has a small rush down, even though you throw the projectile and his shadow goes through you, it can still hit you, and he can still amplify. Even though he's gonna get hit by your projectile, he can still get to you. So he has so many options to throw you off of your game and rechange the momentum, even though he's not a very good character inside. But on to another character in the B section, the last one, Liu Kang. Now, Liu Kang could have been higher had he had a little bit more. His teleport's really good, but he can at times be a one-trick pony character with his kicks. You know, block all his kicks. He has no overheads. You know, the one move he has is a high with the kicks. So if you constantly stay low, throw him off, make him go into some of his deeper arsenal. He does not have that many lows, and that kind of throws him off a little bit, so he can delve into some of his other abilities to use. But still, even in that, it's going to be hard to get somebody out of their defensive guard with Liu Kang. So that's why he falls just short of the extraordinary A section. So now on to the A characters. These are the characters that have a slight advantage in a competitive setting. And starting off this list is Sub-Zero, falling just short of the S class. The supreme class is Sub-Zero, and the reason is that I know a lot of people say you can predict, but at the end of the day, his 50-50 mix up between the head triple, or excuse me, let me call it just triple head combo, and his slide is legendary in this game. Some characters do not even know his full moveset, but they will still use that mix up because they know how tricky it is to predict. So if you're a character that really just doesn't use Noob Saibot, or excuse me, not Noob Saibot, but Sub-Zero, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to predict it, because one thing you're going to have to do is that, one, you're either going to have to take the, or you're going to have a fast startup move to stop him from doing that overhead to discourage him. Or number two, if he does see you throw something, he's going to go for that, straight for that low into a combo to do his slide, or to pop you up with a uppercut after the freeze. So really, even that alone makes him a top tier character. Even that combo, because he can constantly reset it up in neutral zoning against you. And if you back up a little bit and give him a little bit of space, sure, you can counter a little bit, but still the threat of that, him getting your face and doing that combo, especially if he goes straight into it with his amplify, is very, very dangerous by itself. Plus, he has some other good off-putting moves in his variation to counter some other things. But so he really doesn't have that many weaknesses other than maybe a lack of good overheads and other moves like that to really put you off. But other than that, that 50-50 is dangerous, and that's really the reason why, or really more variations, the reason why he falls just slow, or excuse me, just short. That's what the word I want. Just short of that S class. So now another character in here is my main Raiden, and a lot of people say, oh, Raiden's not that good, but the thing is that a good Raiden with his teleport, which is so dangerous on so many levels, it can get him on so many situations to put him back at a good range. When you're talking about somebody like Raiden, he has so many moves. The storm cell to make you use your meter, which is critical. If he's making you use your meter on a storm cell to get rid of that 40% hit combo, which I think is 40%, it really changed the complexity of the match. He can go low, even though I say he does not have a good overhead. His overhead is really bad. It's really predictable to a good player. But still, even in that, he has good unpredictable rush downs. He has a good startup moves, or really a couple of good startup moves that really don't hinder him much like that. But still, he can get away with it, and he gives an advantage over a lot of characters because he is such a balanced character with so much variety to him. So when we talk about like just a straight variety and balance, I would have to say Raiden in a competitive setting, because he could just do so many things and compensate in so many ways against so many different styles of characters. So after Raiden, we have Kung Lao. Now Kung Lao is a character that I love so much because in a competitive setting, he can have so many different variants of styles within his variations. Like somebody can have a style where they could jump up and down, put that as a threat first, then go into some of their other moves. So the person is thinking about, he can come straight down with that diving kick and amplify it, setting up for his other moves. So he can constantly threaten with a lot of things to make you scared. And Kung Lao is just a hard person to put down. He's such a good jumping character. He can get I'm just thinking about, he can get so many places in the arena with that head toss. His abilities are just all over the place depending on which variation you use. And the two competitive ones that he uses are they're just still unpredictable. Like the one where he puts the head around you. He locks you to one spot, and he could come in or under, and it's just hard because even if he does almost get hit, he could just back up and you'll hit his hat, and he can hit confirm into a combo. So it's very, very hard to get a nailing what Kung Lao was doing. But once you do, that's where he falls short of the S rank, because once you figure out what he's doing, once you figure out how to punish him, the character I'll say this, in situations where he does have no momentum, he's a terrible defensive character because he doesn't have a lot of things that don't advance or defends very well. So that really is a shortcoming, his defense, but your offense is moving and ducking around. So after Kung Lao, we have Jax, another character just falling short of the S tier. Now I have to say this is the top of the A tier, because Jax is such a character that he can just maneuver his way around with his good combos constantly, even though you see it coming. That straight overhead, or excuse me, mid overhead combo still to this day catches me, because it's so quick and it's so hard to counter. If it was just a millisecond slower, you could beat it, but it's just fast enough where you had to pre-predict it before the motion even starts happening. So it's such a great move to set for his other movesets and his larger damage. Plus he punches you more, so making him more of a push, I don't want to say push, but pressure character to try to stay up on you to make sure you do not get the necessary space to put it in a neutral zone fight. But still, Jax is so unpredictable. He has so many wrestling move combos. It's just it almost makes him seem like an S tier. If you know him very well, you can really nullify him and punish him every time he tries to commit to one of his harder hitting moves. So after that, we also have Scarlet, another beast, but in her case, she was nerfed from the beta. The beta nerfed her. She was ridiculous with that parry, but still, even in that, the reason why she comes below S rank is because of the nerf. So really, even in her nerf state, she is still an A grade character has a lot of overheads, has a lot of safe moves, is a great zone character. Even inside, she is still dangerous if she knows her proper timing. If the character knows his timing with the other character's timing, and they both know each other, Scarlet can still get the ups on her with certain spacing and try to predict what she is going to do, have a parry ready, have a teleport ready, and really try to just try to damage this character, especially with her one hit combo where she can pull you back in and take her blood. That's so dangerous. And then at the last minute, she always has the viability of spamming her projectiles and winning the fight by chip damage if you do not have a teleport. And if you do, you still have to be careful of coming in so fast, because she can hit you with the low, she can hit you with the quick crushing blow. She has one of the quickest crushing blows in the game. I mean, not crushing blows, fatal blows. And she's just such a good character all around. Definitely more to the upper tier of the A rank. So now our next to last character is Kano. He has one of the most dangerous mix-ups in the game. He's constantly a character that when he has the momentum, he can just get wherever he wants. And even though you can stop him and go the momentum against him, he can still counter back with a couple of things that really sort of throw you off. And you have to always be defensively prepared to counter him back. So then, like, the real weakness of Kano, and I'm saying all these weaknesses, Kano, another character like Kung Lao, does not have a lot of good defensive moves other than his straight knife strike, which throws you over his head. I think that's pretty good defensive move, but other than that, a lot of his moves are slow startup, more of mind games than anything, and can really throw off the opponent for a lot of damage if they are not knowing of his moveset. But if they do, they can still get caught by a lot of this stuff and still be put on their toes. But once they transition back into their favor, it's going to be very hard for that Kano to get the momentum back that he needs, other than his straight roll kick, which it has one of the fastest startups in the game. So now our last character at this A rank is, of course, Jade. Jade is one of the most dangerous characters in the A rank. She definitely has advantage, even though her moves cause a lot of risk. Even in that risk, her mix-ups are just so good. And not only that, they do so much damage. They set up perfectly for other moves. And she's just a character that if you take a lot of risk, you're probably gonna get the reward, even if it's just a little bit. Her moves do so much damage, especially her staff. Her staff has one of the best uppercut rates in the game. Like, literally, most of the time when you do uppercut, the staff will hit you first. So she has great protection. She can zone out anybody with her moves, predict whether they're gonna go up or down with her things. She can constantly put you in a situation where you just don't know how to get closer, and once you do, you have to watch out for one of her big hitting moves which can punish you. So that's why she falls just short of A class, because of some of her more predictable moves. She's another character, but to a lesser degree. She's another character when the momentum doesn't get on her side. She does not have some of the better setups to protect herself, even though she has the staff. Other than that uppercut staff, she's a little bit weak on defensive defensive moves to get her back in the match. So then we come to the S tier, the supreme tier. When you're playing a character at this tier, you have an advantage in the match, especially when you know what you're doing with the two variations that are available at this point. And starting off this list, I gotta say it's the Collector. The Collector, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, he's predictable, he's all this and that. The character is crazy. Like, he's so unpredictable with his moves. You can't possibly know what he's gonna throw at you. When he does, he has an unpredictable not crushing blow, but fatal blow with the lantern hitting you. You know, you don't know if that or the sword is coming. Then he can go low with the sword. So he is a great mix-up character with a lot of abilities to offset a lot of what the opponent is doing, and constantly use that front thing as a sort of checking point to make sure his opponent does not really do anything extreme, and constantly keep him on his toes. And even a defensive pose, he can still come out with the sword. He can still come out with the overhead lantern and put the opponent back in a stance position where now it's a neutral zone, and he can counter them, or he can wait to see what they do, or he can just go ahead and do his little 2-sword combo and without much punishment from much of the roster because they aren't fast enough to beat his block or recovery rate. So it just makes for a very frustrating time when you are fighting a great collector. Now another person that's in there is Geras. Geras, a newcomer and a Time Lord. Now we knew this character was going to be broken from the start, and from the start he's been ripping up people with his temporary freeze ability. Just so many things you can do, so many times you can counter people when they're about to do their move. Even though it has a good start, you could just predict either do the low combo, not low combo, but just low trap move where he sets you up with the 2 hammers that hit you, or he could come overhead and really up close he can counter you so many ways. At mid-range he can constantly threaten traps, and he's just a crazy character to try to get over with, especially when the person knows what he's doing. He can let you come back inside, freeze you, uppercut you 2 times, uppercut you another 2 times, and he's a good late game closer. Like, if any late game closer you would want to have out of anybody in this game, it would be Geras, because first of all, it don't matter what variation you have the go back in time ability. Okay, you could go back in time and give yourself a second chance in a match where you might have lost. So even that, then you have that great fatal blow that can hit you from almost anywhere, and especially you can set it up where you freeze the person first, then hit them, or you can get their mind off of the fatal blow with the trap moves, then pull them in as they're trying to do another attack. You can eat the damage and still win the game. So he's a great late game closer and a hard person to beat unless you absolutely have your timing down packed. So after Geras, we have Sonya Blade, and Sonya Blade is just a beast in this game. She has so many in-string combos. Even though she doesn't have the best inside punch setups, still the one combo where she pops you up for much damage, it still keeps you rolling backward into the corner exactly where she wants you, and she can just keep on stringing strong combos together, then take a break, then have such fast lows where it can break up your momentum and really reset the neutral zoning. So it makes a tough person to fight because she's the best pressure fighter in the game, because she has so many ways to take you offensively. Then defensively, she has a great anti-air, so if you try to constantly jump, she'll jump up in the air, counter you, then amplify it, or she will go under and she will do her long leg kick because her thing is a little bit longer. So even if she does jump in the air, there's not much you can do about it because, you know, of course, she'll probably hit you before you can react or duck it or anything. So it makes her such a dangerous character. She wants you to stay on the ground. Well, you still have to protect the anti-air, but still, she wants you to stay on the ground so you can fight one-on-one with her. At mid-range is probably the best way to get her because almost everybody has faster starts at mid-range than they do at her very close range, because once she gets right up on you, it's pretty much over because her punches require her to be either further back or really up close to do an unpredictable move and use her beams or onions to really offset what you're doing and to go into her combo. So that makes her one of the best characters in the game by far. But now next we have the franchise player Scorpion. Scorpion has so many great moves in his second variation online competitive. He just has so many things. He has the down sword. He can go back up with it, and that's not to mention they haven't even added his Blade of Misery, which will cause much misery to players once they put it in. But once he gets a good online variants, more online variants than the first one, still Scorpion can move out of his teleport further away from you than you think, make you instantly counter, then throw the katana, not katana, but the harpoon at you and get you in a very bad predicament. Even though he has basic combos, which could be his downfall, he's still such good easy character to play, to the point where the ease, I think, takes away from the difficulty or the easiness to predict. Whereas with other characters, you know, it takes a little bit of inputting. Still, this Scorpion just has such ease. You could just do it without thinking, even though you're not a Scorpion player. You know, the back sword, then the up sword, then just constantly constantly having to deal with moves, especially if he's not letting you punish. He's only doing half of a combo, you know, starting back, trying to grab you, just all these different tricks and moves and styles that he can play. He has good defensive and offensive moves that can be used whether going backward or forward. So he's just another great balanced character and really a better version of Raiden at what he does. So what is the best character in the game? And I think we've all experienced him. He is a monster. He is the juggernaut. It is the Dark Cowboy Aaron Black. He is the best character in the game. Not one of, not nearest, the best. The best is Aaron Black. He is the most deadliest 50-50 in the game with the big boot. It's so hard to predict. He has other things that could counter any other variation of character in the game. He has the amplify shots. He has the shotgun. Any player that's good with him can easily get the timing down. You know, he can hit you when he comes in, which is a crushing blow. You know, it's crazy trying to counter this character, especially when you do anything. He can just slide under it, hit you, then throw the thing, and then you're getting dot damage, or excuse me, the ass thing, you get dot damage. Then what if he hits you again and you're still in the thing, then you're getting dot damage and grabbed. And just the hits can pile up, guy. The hits can pile up, and that's what makes him the most dangerous character in the game and at the top of my tier. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, also the like button, also hit the notification bell so you get a notification every time I make a video. This has been the best Go Jiren Gaming, signing off, guys.